Bankdata, who's that? Why did we decide to start an agile journey? And how did we go about it? I'll try to give you some insight into how our agile journey got traction in the beginning of 2015 and what has happened since. So, Bankdata is an IT provider in the finance industry who currently provide 11 Danish banks with IT solutions. Bankdata is run by around 750 awesome people. We have 700 in Denmark, distributed over 3 locations, and we have an office in New Delhi in India with around 50 people. So when all this started, Bankdata was divided into 6 major development areas. Most of these development areas were separated in a number of departments focusing on projects developing new features and applications, and a product department focusing on maintenance and small enhancements. So, enough about that. That's where we started at. But why did we go agile? Well, there were several factors that created a sense of urgency for us to change how things worked around here. We had an external company come in and do an agile assessment, and the conclusion was from that assessment that we were not agile. Big surprise. We already knew that, but it was really another tool for us to use in convincing management that agile was the way to go. We also had a customer satisfaction survey, and the level of that was not something we could live with. We also had some customers who were asking for change. They said, "Oh, we want to respond faster to change. We want our stuff faster. We want more for the money we spend on you." So we were a small group who were fighting the good fight of convincing our management that agile was the way to go. It really picked up pace when management decided to hire in a person on the management level who had previous experience with agile. It gave us a voice on the management level. Together we wrote a brief statement of what we wanted to achieve. It contained 3 major parts. We wanted to focus on 3 levels of agile transformation. First, the governance layer, how to lead and run this new agile organization. Secondly, the team layer. We needed to educate teams in agile. And last but not least, the technical aspect of our agile transformation. It was also around that time we expanded the team to get ready for our agile endeavors. One was hired in from external, and another one joined us from the development area where we were intending to start the transformation. We also wanted to add some expertise to the team of someone who had tried this before. So we interviewed a range of consultant companies to find out what they could offer in that regard. I would say though that it was really surprising that some of the firms showing up to offer their help in our transformation almost had trouble spelling agile. So it was a good thing that there were some people in that selection that actually knew something about agile. But we did manage to find someone who could assist us in the transformation and cover the 3 layers in our transformation. So 3 consultants joined us after the summer in 2015 to embark on our journey. And here we go, the transformation team was born. Very early on, we agreed that sitting down and figuring everything out before we started would kill us before we got started. So we really took a dive in the deep end of the pool and took it from there. We started with the management team in one of the development areas. They had volunteered to be the guinea pigs of this agile transformation. It was a great process and a lot of changes was made. A really bold step they took was that project departments and maintenance departments was all history. Going forward, they would just have products and product teams. We also managed to get our customers to buy in to the idea that they should be the product owner and not us, which was really a major accomplishment. On August 3rd, 2015, we had the first kickoff in the first development area. The managers got up on the stage and introduced the employees to what was going to happen over the next couple of months, what they could expect and what training we would provide. We started by taking the product owner plus whoever he or she needed to create an initial backlog. We took them through a product owner training consisting of 4 modules. First, a basic introduction to Scrum, and really what was the role as a product owner, what was the expectancies of a product owner. Secondly, a workshop to create a product vision, figure out who was the stakeholders, what was the goal, what we were really trying to achieve with this product. Third, we had an introduction to story mapping and the techniques around story mapping, and an early work on creating the product backlog. The fourth workshop was education in writing good user stories, and continuous work with the product backlog. The result of these 4 modules was a product backlog represented as a story map. These 4 modules would take about half a day each, distributed over 2 weeks, giving the team room in between to work on getting the backlog ready. We then gave the entire development team a 2-day Scrum training. Content-wise, it kind of resembles the content of a certified Scrum Master training, more or less. The last half day of the training was spent on starting the team up on their first sprint. An agile coach from the transformation team would then follow the team throughout the next 3 sprints. The development area then had their own agile coach, who would then take over the responsibility of keeping the team on track in their agile journey, while the agile coach from the transformation team would go on to start up a new team. It has been essential for Bankdata's transformation that each development area have had and still have agile coaches who are working directly in their respective development areas. During our rollout, our training office expanded. The product owner and Scrum training was mandatory for all teams. We then added several offers for teams and individuals as we saw the need for it. We added a Kanban training course to give participants an introduction to Kanban and what they could leverage by focusing on flow and continuous improvement. We also introduced the concept of stakeholder group. We are owned by our customers, and the stakeholder group was created to give the product owner an opportunity to leverage the knowledge and insight from the rest of our customers. This was a 1-day training, giving them basic Scrum and Agile knowledge, understanding story maps, and the product owner would give them an introduction to the product backlog they would give input to. There was a need for further Scrum Master education, which spawned 2 Mastering Scrum courses. The first one was intended to be held just as the Scrum Master was beginning his or her journey into Agile. It contained an introduction to the inner workings of Scrum, so there was a module addressing what the differences were between the project manager role and a role as a Scrum Master. A module was on team development, how they as a Scrum Master could help develop the team. There's a module on value chain, so addressing the focus on the entire value chain and not just sub-optimizing. And last but not least, a module around organizational change. So how could they, as Scrum Masters, be part of changing our entire organization? Course 2 on Mastering Scrum was about how they, as Scrum Masters, could take the next steps to develop themselves as Scrum Masters. How they could spice up their events. There was an introduction to Kanban, and there was an introduction to scaling. We have also created a Mastering Product Ownership course to further enhance the skills and tools of our product owners. We talked about forecasting, we talked about how to write better user stories, and really tried to give them more tools to be a good product owner. Later on, the concept of guilds was introduced to the organization, really embracing the opportunity to build communities of practice. The transformation team started up the Scrum Master Guild, but several other guilds have now spawned on their own, in various sizes and with various focus areas. We also, as many others I guess, faced the question of scaling. So what do we do if a product cannot just be developed by a single team? How do we scale? So we have really tried to focus on avoiding scaling if we can, and more have a focus on how can we descale as much as possible. As a guideline, we have created a scaling staircase, and let me emphasize that it's not a goal to get up the stairs. On the contrary, we would like for our teams and products to aim for the lowest step possible. So if the team could stay autonomous and be independent of other teams, that would be preferable. In impediments, we talk about teams who have some kind of dependency on other teams and really focus on how they can address these impediments. I would say that this is where most of the teams in Bankdata are today. Some of the major initiatives in Bankdata are on the practices step. Where it was necessary, we have introduced practices that help the team coordinate to fulfill their mission. The practices are often borrowed from some of the known frameworks from scaling agile. We don't have any teams or programs in Bankdata who have currently moved to the framework step. We have not had the need to introduce the overhead a framework would bring, but we have borrowed some of the practices where it gives us value. So where are we today? What have we accomplished? We've started 100+ teams up, and that actually includes our economy department and our HR department, who are also running Scrum. And then the golden question arises: are we done? Are we there yet? But no. We will never reach an end destination. Agile is a journey, and also for us, it continues. In 2017, we've set a goal of going from doing Agile to being Agile. We really want the Agile values to be in everyone's hearts and minds. We have 3 major focus areas in 2017. We have a business track focusing on the interaction we have with our customers. There's really no doubt that our Agile transformation has had a great impact on our customers. The business track is working on making the collaboration with our customers work smoothly. The technical track is working on creating a culture of technical craftsmanship. To begin with, there has been a focus on enhancing the testing skill within the teams. The transformation track has focused on reinforcing the Agile transformation that has already happened and on enhancing the transformation in our management layers. It is exciting times for sure. So thank you for listening. I hope you got something out of it, and feel free to leave comments or questions below. Have a nice day.